In this screencast, we're going to take a look at a couple different theories related to color vision in terms of being able to see colors. Where do we get that ability? How does color vision actually work? The first theory that we're going to look at is the trichromatic theory. Okay, trichromatic theory developed originally by Thomas Young, and then Helmholtz is a researcher that also helped contribute to this theory. So these two individuals, basically they state that there are three different types of cones. Now, if you remember, we talked about how cones are sensitive or have to have a lot of light to operate, and they are very good at determining colors. Well, they believe there's three different types of cones, and each type of cone is sensitive to a specific wavelength. So red is very sensitive cone. Well, red sensitive cones are very receptive to long wavelengths. Green sensitive cones are receptive to medium wavelengths, while blue sensitive cones are receptive to short wavelengths. Now, a color other than blue, green, or red actually would trigger a combination of these cones, and it would then could produce millions of other colors. Now, color blindness in this theory is kind of explained in that there we go. Color blindness is explained in that people with red-green color blindness simply cannot discriminate between the reds and the greens. So in other words, those cones are not operating fully, and so they get a lot of stuff related to blue, kind of different tints or different variations of blue. Now, that's the trichromatic theory. This does not do a very good job of explaining after images, and we're going to take a look at an after image here in just a minute. Second theory that we'll look at here is the opponent process theory. And this theory essentially talks about how there's color sensitive components in the eye, and they're grouped into three pairs. There's red-green, there's blue-yellow, and there's black-white. And essentially what they're saying is that, in these combinations, most people, yes, we can see green and we can see red at the same time, but we don't tend to see reddish green, or we don't tend to see like a bluish yellow, or, a black-white combination. I mean, yes, we see different variations of gray, but I mean, in terms of these things, they're basically saying that these are kind of like opponent colors. Okay, so they're saying that each member either inhibits or opposes the other. So for example, when red is activated, they believe that green is inhibited, or in other words, it's turned off. Different colors that are produced through different color combinations of the pairs are being activated at the same time. So that's how they get, again, millions of different colors, is because different ones of these are being operated, they're either on or off at the same time. So for example, purple would be the result of red and blue being turned on, while green and yellow are turned off. Now, this is, totally different theory than the trichromatic that we just looked at. Now, the one thing that this theory does do is it does tend to explain the occurrence of an after image. For after images, let's take a look at this real quick. What I'd like for you to do, follow the directions here. I'd like for you to focus on the red dot on her nose, and we're going to look at it for approximately 30 seconds. Focus in and continue to just look at the red dot. Continue to stay focused. That's an after image. Okay? Even when you blink, you still tend to see the picture of the woman on the screen, on the blank screen. Now, how do we explain that? Well, with the opponent process theory, basically here's how it works. Okay, you stare at an object long enough and the eye's photoreceptors, okay, the rods and the cones, particularly the cones, tend to lose sensitivity. Okay, anytime you are exposed to something for a long time period, consecutive time period, basically we adapt, our receptors adapt to those things, whether it be a sight or whether it be a smell. Adaptation could be walking into a room and all of a sudden you smell a bad odor, but then you're in that room for 5-10 minutes, and what's happened is that message that kept going about, it kept being sent to the brain saying, oh, there's a bad odor. Well, it basically, the brain starts ignoring it, and that message is pretty much ignored. Well, by the same token here, once you stare at something for long enough, well, then eventually your brain stops, getting that message. Now, when you divert your eyes onto a blank space, the surrounding cone cells send out a much stronger signal, and the brain interprets this as basically looking at the opposite of what you just were focused on. And that's known as a negative afterimage. Okay? The opponent process theory does a much better job of being able to explain this. Both of these theories, they're very different theories in terms of how they work, but both of them do have support in terms of research.